Welcome to the Alto Shaam Culinary Center. This is going to be a quick video to give you just a few little pointers on how to use the Alto Shaam Quickchiller so that you can get your food down out of the danger zone as quickly as possible. This is not meant to be a comprehensive guide on everything that the chiller can do. I'm just really going to show you two methods to use the unit so when you're at the kitchen throughout the day, you can put food in it, take it out, monitor it manually, or you can set a program so that you can put food in, and once it is chilled down, the cavity will warm up to more of a refrigerator temperature and you don't freeze your food overnight. Okay, first things first, let's go back to that first method I was telling you about. Most kitchens who have quick chillers generally run the chiller at a cold temperature throughout the workday, and they put food in, and when it's cold they take it out, and they're putting shifts of foods or waves of food, not always putting an entire cart full of food in here. So almost think of it as your convection oven that you turn on in the morning and leave it on all day. You put food in and you take it out just as you go along. So I'm going to show you the very simplest way to do that. The first thing that we need to do, of course, is turn the unit on. So there's a power button on top. Just tap that. This is actually very, very simple. All you need to do is tap this button here, which is the hold mode button. So what we're really going to do is set this unit into a hold mode. You'll see that it says press start when done, set hold temperature, and it actually defaults to 38. But we can use the up and down arrows, and I'm just going to tell you right now that when I use this mode or this method, I generally just go to 24 degrees. You know, people ask me why 25, not 25 or 23 degrees. Listen, I've tried 24 for a long time, and it just happens to be that it works out very well for me. Speeds up the chilling, but also it's not too cold so that I'll get a lot of surface freezing. If you freeze the outside of your products before the inside has refrigerated, you can actually trap the heat inside, and it could take even longer for that product to come out of the danger zone. So once I've used that down arrow to get to 24 degrees, I just need to push start. Okay. On the control panel itself, you'll now see a timer counting up, so that tells you how long the unit's been turned on. You will see the cavity set temperature, which of course, as we just stated, was 24 degrees. Next to it, it says 43, and what that means is that the actual cavity right now is 43 degrees. So it will take a few moments for that temperature to drop down to my 24 degrees, but once it's there, I can continue to run it throughout the day. The three numbers that you'll see underneath are actually what the three probes, sorry, it's going to get loud for just a second here, but the three probes that are inside the cavity here are reading. So when I put my food into the chiller, I can insert the probe into the food and monitor what those food items are at as the day goes along. So the couple important things to remember: when you put those probes into your food, you want to make sure you sanitize them, okay? And then really the only other mistake that you can make in this is to forget to check your food throughout the day, okay? So this means as I'm walking by, every once in a while I just need to look and I see, oh, well, that particular probe is under 40 degrees. It's fine for me to take it out. Okay, if I leave it in there or I forget about it, again, I'm likely to freeze my product and come up with a compromised result. All right, so we've already covered really the easy way to use this unit, which again, just letting it run throughout the day, putting food in and taking it out when we see that it has gotten out of the danger zone. But imagine a scenario where you're cooking an entire load of food in your 2020 oven here, and you want to put the entire cart of lasagna, for example, into the chiller and then go home. Okay. In our last method, if we were running it at 24 degrees all night long, when we came back, almost certainly our product would be frozen, okay, because it would be at a sub-freezing temperature all night long. So in order to fix that problem, we're going to program this unit so that once the food is below 40 degrees, in this case I'm going to set it to 38 degrees. So when the food gets to 38 degrees, the chiller will actually rise its temperature from 24 up to 38 degrees, which will be at a refrigerator temperature, which will allow the food to just sort of be in cold storage until the next day when you can come take it out and put it into your walk-in. Okay. So how are we going to do that? Of course, we have to have the unit powered on, just like we did earlier. But that 24 degrees that we used earlier when we accessed it here in the hold mode, we're actually going to go into the soft chill mode. The only difference between the different modes, soft chill, hard chill, and quick freeze, are that they are different temperature zones. 24 degrees is at the very bottom of the soft chill mode. So we're going to actually use that mode and then set it to 24 degrees for our overnight chill. After I've selected the mode, I get a screen here which shows the settings. And lucky for me, actually at the moment, all the settings on here are exactly as I would like them, but I'm going to show you how to go through and change them. If you like all the settings that are there, you can simply just go ahead and push start, put the food in and probe it, and you're ready to go. But most of the time, you're going to go on here and find that you need to make some adjustments. How do we do that? We push this button right in the center, which we call the program button, and you're going to get an interesting screen here that says chill by, time, or probe. So you'll see that probe is highlighted. If I want to chill by time, instead of using probes, I just want to chill for 2 hours and then let the cavity warm up to 38 degrees. I can certainly do that and highlight here, but in this case I want to use the probes. So I'll leave it highlighted on the word probe there. I go back and forth with these left and right arrows. To continue to the next step, I always push that chef button, okay, and the program button. And now when I'm on this screen, it will show me really 5 numbers. The chill temperature, which is the temperature of the chiller cavity when we put the food in. The hold temperature, which is going to be the temperature that the chiller will rise to after the chilling process is done. That's the temperature that will be inside the chiller when you come in the morning to take the food out. Okay? And then these 3 temperatures on the bottom, which we generally all leave to be the same, are all going to be the cutoff temperature for the 3 individual probes that are in here. And what that means is, for example, in this example, if you look at the screen, it says chill 24, and all the probes say 38. So the cavity will be 24 degrees until all 3 of the probes are reading below 38 degrees. Okay? Then, when the last probe gets below 38 degrees, the chiller cavity will rise or warm up slightly so that your product doesn't freeze overnight. Okay? If I need to change any of these numbers, I will scroll through just like I did on the other screen with my left and right arrows and pause on the number I'd like to change, and I use those up and down arrows to adjust those settings. But for me, and I recommend for most of the customers that I work with, this is an excellent program for multi-purpose, like really almost anything on your menu. This will really work well for. Chill at 24 degrees until the product is 38, and then hold at 38. Okay, so once all of your settings say that, you can put your food in. Okay, make sure you probe all your food with a sanitized probe, and then go ahead and push start. Okay. Just like before, we'll be able to read what the temperatures of the probes are, but we're not going to actually need to pull the food out. We'll be able to let it go into a hold mode, and when we come back tomorrow, food will be ready to go. All right, since we are talking about a specific size unit, this is the QC100, I think that it's important that we do talk real briefly about loading and unloading carts into and out of the chiller. It's important. Of course, you probably have seen this. This is your handle. So if we have that on, we want to make sure that we go straight in. There is a gasket on the bottom of the unit here, and if we go on too much of an angle, we can bang that gasket. And there's also a gasket on the door. So in order to protect those gaskets from getting shredded or torn at all, we want to go straight in. Once we get all the way back into the chiller, you might notice that this handle, if I leave it on, prevents the door from being closed. So we always have to remember to pull that off. And there are times when you might be using the cart without the handles. A lot of people, grab a oven mitt or something and grab it up here and push it around. In that case, it's possible that you might have this little guard open. That guard is basically there to prevent the shelves from sliding off the cart while you're pushing it around. But if it's open like that, you can close the door, but you kind of have to force it. So it's definitely important that you make sure that is closed as well. Okay. The only other thing that I want to make sure you do is be careful about the probe cables. Okay. If you push the cart into the chiller without paying attention to these cables, you could pop the cable, pop the probes off, or in a small likelihood you could do some damage to the cables. So you want to sort of take your time, pay attention to what you're doing, and once everything's loaded in, then yes, you can go ahead, close the door, and crank it down. People notice, of course, when they pull that cart out of their combi, that there's a drip tray underneath there. So sometimes you might notice a little trail of water on the bottom or underneath your cart as you're pushing it across the floor. That just means you need to go underneath that drip tray, and grab that drip tray and dump that into a floor drain or something to keep the floor safe. What else can I tell you? Definitely when we are putting foods in an overnight process particularly, it's pretty important to make sure we cover things that we think are in danger of becoming dry from the high-powered fans that are in the unit. This chiller, the only purpose for this chiller is to bring foods down through the danger zone very, very quickly. And how it does that is through using these really big high-powered fans. Because of that air motion, we want to make sure we protect the food from that if it's going to be exposed to the fast blowing air for long periods of time so it doesn't dry out. All right, so that pretty much covers it. We talked about two main ways to use the chiller. The run it all day at a 24-degree temperature kind of method, and then also the chill and then hold method, which we typically would use if we need to put product into the chiller and leave overnight, like at the end of a shift, put a load of chicken or lasagna into the chiller and come back, pull it out in the morning. We also covered a few important things like taking care of your probes, pushing that cart in and out, things like that. I just wanted to cover one last thing, which is, as I said in the beginning, it's not meant to be a complete, comprehensive guide on everything that the chiller can do. It's really just giving you some of the basics that you need to do to get through on a day-to-day basis. If you have questions or if there are other things that you need to do with your chiller that we didn't explain in the video, we do have the user manual available to you, and it actually has all these things and more in detail. So for basic maintenance and cleaning and things like that, as well as some of the more detailed operational procedures, you're going to find that all contained right here in the user manual. Okay, so I hope that this video was useful to you, and always if you have any specific questions, don't hesitate to give us a call here right at Alto Shaam.